In 16th century India, spiritual practice was a luxury of the elite. Access to the divine was strictly gated by a rigid caste system, requiring expensive ritual ingredients and a mastery of complex Sanskrit, barriers that effectively locked out the vast majority of the population. But during a total lunar eclipse in 1486, the town of Navadvipa witnessed a sudden shift. Thousands of citizens waded into the Ganges River, chanting the names of God in a massive, spontaneous chorus. In the middle of this public roar, a boy named Nimai was born. Nimai's childhood was defined by a singular, unusual behavior. He would cry inconsolably for hours, refusing all food and comfort, until the local women began to clap and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The moment the sound filled the room, he would stop crying and begin to smile. He grew into a brilliant, renowned scholar, but at 24 he walked away from his intellectual career. He took the vows of a wandering monk, accepting the name Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and leaving his comfortable life behind. He didn't set out to write new laws or lead an army. His entire mission centered on a single concept, Sankirtan. This was the practice of congregational chanting, bringing the names of God out of the private temples and into the public square. This zero-cost act of public singing became the ultimate tool for bypassing the era's social gatekeeping. By making the highest spiritual experience as simple as a song in the street, Chaitanya began to rewrite the spiritual DNA of the subcontinent. This growth eventually threatened the local government. The magistrate, a man known as the Chand Kazi, banned the public chanting and sent guards to destroy the devotees' musical instruments, intending to crush the movement through state force. Chaitanya's response was an unprecedented act of peaceful defiance. He organized hundreds of thousands of citizens into massive torch-lit processions that converged on the Kazi's home in a nonviolent show of overwhelming numbers. When they met, the tension gave way to a deep philosophical debate. Chaitanya argued for universal compassion, specifically challenging the magistrate on the logic of killing animals that provide milk and nourishment to society. The Kazi then revealed why he was truly shaken. The night he broke the devotees' drums, he dreamt of a terrifying lion-headed figure who pinned him down and threatened his life for obstructing the chanting. He even showed Chaitanya the physical scratch marks on his chest. The magistrate immediately lifted the ban and vowed that neither he nor any of his descendants would ever interfere with the movement again. This promise stood for centuries, even through times of intense civil unrest. By transforming the state's highest representative through a combination of peaceful assembly and a singular mystical encounter, Chaitanya proved that his movement could neutralize systemic oppression without a single act of violence. Chaitanya eventually took his chanting deep into the wild, traveling through the isolated Jharkhand forest. There, the sound of the holy names had a pacifying effect on the wildlife. Predators and prey alike lost their aggression. Tigers danced alongside deer, and elephants joined the movement, all induced into a state of ecstatic love by the vibration of the mantra. This power followed him to the city of Puri during the Ratha Yatra festival, a massive event involving towering chariots and millions of pilgrims. To manage the immense scale of the festival, Chaitanya divided the crowds into 7 distinct chanting groups. During the celebration, he began to dance, and a miracle occurred. He expanded himself into 7 simultaneous forms. Each of the 7 groups saw Chaitanya dancing in their center, and each devotee felt he was present exclusively with them. This expansion demonstrated that while the sound of Sankirtan can fill a city, its reach is intensely personal. It allows the divine to connect with 1 million people at once, while still making each individual feel they are standing in a private, direct relationship with the infinite. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement resulted in a permanent democratization of Indian spirituality, placing the highest goals of enlightenment within the reach of the common person. To preserve this legacy, he sent his most learned disciples, the 6 Goswamis, to the lost geographical region of Vrindavan with a specific mission. They excavated forgotten holy sites and constructed 7 massive temples, building a tangible physical home for the movement that remains standing 500 years later. At the same time, these scholars formalized the ecstatic movement into a rigorous academic theology, producing a vast body of literature that remains the intellectual backbone of the tradition. Despite this institutional success, Chaitanya's personal teachings focused on extreme humility. He taught his followers to be more tolerant than a tree and lower than a blade of grass, seeking no wealth or personal prestige. Chaitanya's revolution was built on the premise that a song, sung with genuine humility, carries more transformative power than any sword or treasury. It is a song that anyone, anywhere, is allowed to sing.